Scores of our presidents have had differing political opinions, but many of them do have one thing in common. They're now ghosts. Welcome to Haunted Road Media. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. Explore the connected universe with us. Ghost stories and sightings aren't just for creepy haunted houses and Halloween. There are a number of historic locations around the country that have had ghost sightings of presidents as well. And many locations that our presidents have visited or have some connection to have also been haunted. Here are a handful of those tales. Some of the more famous hauntings around the Washington, D.C. area involve President Abraham Lincoln and his family. He's been seen on several occasions in the Lincoln bedroom and Yellow Oval Room of the White House, including sightings by some rather prominent people, such as First Lady Grace Coolidge, Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands. Lincoln's son Willie, who passed away in the White House, was also seen by many members of the Grant administration during the 1870s. Even President Lincoln admitted that his son was around the White House when he once stated, "I catch myself involuntarily talking to him as if he were near me, and I feel that he is." Mary Todd Lincoln, the president's wife, was heavily involved in the Spiritualism movement during her time in Washington. But this was not a first for the White House. Jane Pierce, wife of President Franklin Pierce, had invited one of the infamous Fox sisters, Maggie, to the White House to conduct a seance in order to contact her son, Benny, who was killed in a train accident. Mary Todd Lincoln, however, made headlines for her involvement, and after her husband was assassinated, she sought out the services of famed spirit photographer William Mumler. While Mumler is largely considered a fraud for his use of double exposure, his photograph of Mary Todd Lincoln, with the ghostly image of Abraham Lincoln behind her, is quite eerie. Of course, thoroughly ingrained in the Lincoln story is John Wilkes Booth, the man who assassinated the president in 1865. It seems every stop along Booth's escape out of Washington has some sort of haunting associated with it, including Ford's Theater, where the assassination took place, the Surratt House, where he replenished his supplies, and the Samuel Mudd House, where his broken leg was tended to. It was at the Mudd House where I've had some interesting and sometimes rather bizarre experiences. I've been to the Mudd House a number of times, going all the way back to my research for my book, Ghosts of Maryland. And that first time that I visited, I took a number of photographs to include within the book. However, when I got home, suddenly all my photographs were gone. So I had to go back to the house to get more photographs. However, when I went there, everything was locked up, but by chance, one of the docents showed up. It had actually been a day that the house was closed, and I just got lucky that he showed up to give a private viewing. So while he was opening the house up, he allowed me to walk through with him to go ahead and get my photographs again. So I'm asking him about the hauntings of the house and things that they've experienced there. And he's telling me about apparitions they've seen in the house of Samuel Mudd, his wife, other things that have been moving around the house, and he also told me of an impression that is sometimes seen on the bed where John Wilkes Booth slept. And he's telling me this as we're walking upstairs, and we go into that room so he can open up the shades to let the light in. And as I look down at the bed, sure enough, there's the impression on the bed. So I tell him, is this the impression that you're talking about? Because it looked like somebody had been sleeping right there in the bed. And he said, yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's funny because he actually got upset because he was going to have to fix the bed. And I said, well, wait, let me get a photograph of it first. So I actually got a wonderful photograph of this impression that they don't usually let the public see because they want to fix it up and make everything look nice. So the bizarre things that happened to me there concern my equipment. The first time I was there, lost all of my photographs. Another time that I was there to film, I lost all of my audio, and I only had the microphone on the camera to actually work with and not the actual microphone that I was mic'd up with. Two of those times I lost recorded media that I had captured, completely disappearing as if it had never been recorded at all. That includes the filming for this particular episode.
You can clearly see here that I'm mic'd up and have started using the audio recorder. However, that recorded segment has completely disappeared, leaving me with an inaudible track from the camera's small and distant microphone.
Here at the Samuel Mudd House, this house is most notoriously known for one of the locations in which John Wilkes Booth fled.
Back in Washington, D.C., Other ghosts who haunt the White House include Thomas Jefferson, who plays his violin in the Yellow Oval Room, Andrew Jackson, who's been heard laughing in bed in the Queen's bedroom, also known as the Rose Room, since 1860, and William Henry Harrison, the first president to die in office, haunting the attic. Of course, presidential ghosts haunt outside the White House as well. Going all the way back to George Washington, the very first president, he's been seen at his former home of Mount Vernon, dating all the way back to a newspaper report in 1890. According to the New York World newspaper, the most interesting of all the bedrooms is the one belonging to the immortal George, and in which he died. In it is the original 4-poster bed whereon Washington passed his last moments. This historic chamber is haunted. Of that there would seem to be little doubt. Many people within recent years have slept in it, and they declare that they were awed by the viewless presence of the nation's first president. They all agree that Washington visits its chamber in the still watches of the night. Washington's ghost also seems to frequent places in which he visited in life, including his mother Mary's house in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Welcome to the Mary Washington house. This is the house of Mary Washington, the mother of George Washington. She moved this property in 1772 and lived here for the final 17 years of her life. Above us would have been a little half loft. It's still there, part of the house, and that's where George Washington slept. He came here several times to visit his mom. So George did sleep here. We're just too proud to put on the sign.
Washington has also made appearances at Montpelier Mansion in Laurel, Maryland. His wife Martha has also made appearances there, as has the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on occasion. All were known to have stopped there overnight on their travels. Of course, Jefferson has also made appearances at his own home at Monticello in Virginia, in which several people have spotted him strolling the grounds, and in some cases, whistling. One peculiar case involves President Ulysses S. Grant, an ancestral cousin of mine. When Cocky's Tavern in Westminster, Maryland was still in operation as a restaurant, a local lawyer named Mr. Walsh used to eat there nearly every day and always sat at the same table. Staff opening the restaurant one morning found the painting of General Grant that hung over the fireplace resting face down at the spot in which Walsh normally sat. The wire on the back of the painting was not broken, and the place setting at which the painting had fallen was not damaged in any way. It was later learned that Mr. Walsh had died the previous night. The same painting of Grant resurfaced some years ago. After a fire in the year 2000, the contents of Cocky's Tavern were auctioned off. The grandson of the man who bought the painting at the auction eventually gave the painting to the Historical Society, which now occupies the building, to hang at Cocky's Tavern once more. The painting has remnants of dark marks that resemble blood pouring out from Grant's sleeve and thumb, which originally appeared on the painting one day when it first hung in the tavern. The strange blood-like markings have now spread to the former president's head. These are just a few interesting tales of presidential ghosts, but there are scores more all across the country. And for more creepy ghost stories, please check out our other videos off to the side. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Until next time.